Welcome back to another episode of Supergene Unleashed. This is actually the final episode of 2025, and I want to take a moment to celebrate everything that has happened this year. So listen up, ladies. We have made it. We are about to cross the finish line for 2025. And I think it's really important to take a moment, no matter if you think you had a bad year or an amazing year, to honestly give yourself a pat on the back, high five yourself, take a shot, celebrate with a run, do whatever makes you happy. But it is worth celebrating that not only are we here at the end of another year, but we are staring at the starting line of a new beginning. We are about to turn the leaf on a new year. And that is just so exciting because you have the opportunity to do whatever you want. So to start off today, I want to look back a little bit on 2025. I think it's really important when you're going into a new year to reflect on what you accomplished in the year, be thankful for what you did in the year, and also acknowledge the hard times and see what have you learned from it. And I think that it's also really important to take this opportunity to reflect and appreciate your achievements because honestly, if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. And it's really kick ass if you've achieved whatever you set out to achieve. And to get this going, I thought it would be worthwhile to first and foremost say thank you to everybody for supporting Supergene Unleashed. I set out this year with the ambition of launching this podcast. I knew that I really wanted to do this. I knew that I was passionate about podcasting. I love to listen to podcasts and I love public speaking, but I was also a little bit nervous because I wasn't quite sure how it would all come together. And to be honest with you, if I look back, I actually was a little bit disappointed that it took so long to get going. And one of the key lessons for me this year was that I didn't really need to take all that time. Oftentimes, when you have a really huge goal, you can really get hung up on taking that first step or just starting. And that's really my main lesson with launching this podcast is that I took so much time to make sure that everything was in place, that I had the right branding, that I had the right headshot, that I had the right episode, framework, that I also had the right description. But at the end of the day, these are things that you can tweak as you get going, and just starting and taking that first step of doing whatever it is that you want to set out to do, even if it's starting a business, is honestly, I think, the hardest step of them all. And so now that I've gotten going on everything, I feel like things are really falling into place and it's really much easier to course correct if need be. So I wanted to say thank you because I'm super grateful to everybody who has tuned in from near and far. I've been quite impressed to see that I have people from all over the world that are tuning in to Supergene Unleashed. And honestly, I'm just getting warmed up. I have released now, I think this will be episode 13, and I am looking forward to continuing the journey of empowering women to be the absolute best version of themselves. And when it comes to, really achieving goals, I actually listened to a podcast earlier this year from Mel Robbins about a blueprint of 6 easy steps that you can follow to accomplish anything that you want in life. And this is actually the blueprint that I used for launching Supergene Unleashed. So to cut to the chase, I am going to quickly share the 6 steps, but if you want to hear more, I highly suggest that you check out Mel Robbins' episode where she really goes into a thorough discovery of every single step. But without further ado, here's the 6 steps. So first and foremost, it might sound silly, but you need to define your goal. So you should actually write down, what the goal is, and also take note of the difference between a dream and a goal, because a dream is something that can be in your mind and a goal is something that's in reality. And that's why it's really important to write it down so that you can see it, you can understand it, and you have something tangible staring you in the face. That's actually the second step. I already said it, which is write it down. So define your goal. Second step is write it down, because then you can associate achievement to the goal, meaning like, what would it be to achieve the goal? So for example, if it's getting a new job or you want to get a job within this specific industry, then you need to say that, okay, I'll know that I achieved the goal when I have an offer letter in hand. The third step is finding the formula. So what do you need to do in order to achieve that goal? So it's basically breaking it down into all the steps that you need to take. The fourth one is the one that I think is the most boring and where I would guess that most people fall off the bandwagon. And that's doing the reps. So doing the same thing over and over again. So doing the reps is showing up day in, day out and putting in the work, whether it's 5 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. For instance, if you're trying to lose weight, well, you need to do the reps. You're not just going to lose the weight. You should be following whatever protocol you choose. So if you're going to be going to the gym 3 times a week, you need to consistently show up. So it's all about that consistency. Number 5 is how can you make it fun and easy? It's especially helpful to have visual reminders. So when it came to launching Supergene Unleashed, I found it fun and easy because it's something that I absolutely loved. And I also decided to make it fun and easy by bringing on guests where I was actually really interested in having deep conversation with them and understanding, well, how did you do, how did you become an entrepreneur? How did you find the courage to quit your job? How did you, find the courage to, launch your own business, whatever it may be. And then finally, the 6th step is don't quit. So just keep going. And I think what I learned the most about number 6 that comes into play here with don't quit is learning how to sideline that inner doubt and learning how to not let other people's commentary, judgment, opinions, or anything like that come into your mind and derail you from doing what it is you want to do. You need to believe in yourself 100%. If you want to achieve a goal, you absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, need to have full force confidence that you can achieve it, because you are going to have people you're always going to have that friend who surprises you, or that family member who surprises you, or an acquaintance that surprises you, that has something negative to say, that doubts your capability, that tries to tell you, oh, but it's too hard to do this, or somebody else has already done it. And you really have to find it within yourself to not quit. Because if you let that get to you, then you're basically giving that person permission to tell you that you can't achieve your goal. And that's just kind of sad, because I believe in you and you should believe in you too, that you really can put your mind to something and do it. And that's what I think is so exciting about being at the starting line of a new year, is that we have this opportunity right now. Even just take 5 minutes. This episode is going to be releasing literally right before New Year's. And that's why I'm so excited and wanted to talk about this, because I hope that you'll join me in taking 5 minutes out of your day and thinking, what do I want to do in 2026? How can I take what I didn't do from 2025, or the lessons that I learned from 2025, and improve upon it? And, we often do this within our careers, right? We have end of year performance reviews, but do you ever take the time to do it for yourself? I challenge you to take a moment and do that. And I think you'll surprise yourself at the end of 2026 on what you can come to achieve. And that's what I think is just so exciting about the end of a year and the start of another. The other thing that I wanted to talk to everybody about today is I am now in the postpartum phase. So the other solo episode that I released a few months ago was all about my twin pregnancy. So this year was so shocking. It was difficult physically, but it was also beautiful and full of love for me personally, because I got the news of the lifetime that I was pregnant with twins. And this had come just after starting a new job. It was completely crazy. It was unplanned. A lot of people think, oh, okay, if you have twins, it was IVF, but no, it was not. And it was also very shocking because the first scan showed only one baby. And then the second scan is where we found out it was twins. And when I recorded the episode, I was super heavily pregnant. I was talking about how difficult it was. And I will say that beyond that point, the last month of a twin pregnancy, wow, that was intense. I mean, I don't think I've ever done anything so physically challenging in my life. But however, I'm now in the postpartum phase. And why I want to talk about this is because I think that more and more women are starting to come out and acknowledge just how difficult postpartum can be. A lot of people refer to it as the fourth trimester. And so many people that, either have never had a baby or have had a baby, there's just like this underlying thing about having this bounce back culture. And it's very difficult. I don't know who these people are on social media, but yes, there's definitely, look, if you are within that category of women who can bounce back and literally like a week after giving birth, you look like you've never even had a baby in your belly. Amazing. High five to you. I think that that is phenomenal. But if you're not in that category, seeing these images on social media, looking at, different people talking about this can definitely tear you down. And what is happening in the postpartum period is we're having just an insane fluctuation and crash of hormones. I mean, I have seen some statistics talk about it being like the most intense thing that any human being can ever undergo in terms of like the fluctuation of hormones. But yet at the same time, people just have this underlying expectation that, oh, you should be keeping it together. You should, feel okay. Well, you're no longer pregnant. You should be totally fine now. Well, no, actually, the body needs to recover. It is intense, whether you've had a vaginal birth or a C-section. Honestly, a birth is a birth, and both ways are extremely tough. I ended up having to have a C-section with my twins, and with my first, I had a natural birth. So I can definitely talk about the differences between these two things. And I can say that no matter what, just having a baby is an Olympic sport. It is very tough, and you shouldn't feel guilty if you haven't bounced back. You shouldn't put so much pressure on yourself to bounce back. And you also shouldn't feel bad if you're not feeling yourself. That's normal. It is normal to not feel okay. It is normal to feel completely happy in one moment and completely upset and mourning your previous life in the next. It's a very tough adjustment to go from being pregnant to all of a sudden having a newborn on your hands. It's something that takes getting used to. And I think that we all need to acknowledge this a little bit more. And what I find ironic is, even though this was my second pregnancy, I still had people ask me, oh, or thinking that I would just feel okay all of a sudden. In fact, no, I don't. I'm actually going through a tough time. I'm seeing a physiotherapist to recover from it. I mean, it was intense pressure. It takes 9 months to create a human being. It certainly can take 9 months and even a year to recover from it. So all of that to say that if you are navigating a postpartum period, go easy on yourself, because it is not an easy phase. And One of the things that I can say confidently is that this being my second time around, I feel like the adjustment to having newborns was a little bit easier. I feel more confident in what I'm doing and how I'm taking care of the babies. I don't feel so hung up and antsy about every little thing. So if you are a second time mom or you just found out that you're pregnant for the second time, maybe that can give some reassurance that I personally found it a little bit easier. However, that being said, I do have twins, and it is just generally a different experience with twins because it can be very demanding. But I will say it's not as hard as I anticipated. And I am pleasantly surprised at how much more smooth things have been going. And I'm extremely grateful that they were born very healthy, no complications. So I think that that has added to things, getting off on the right foot. But as well, within postpartum, many women can navigate significant birth traumas. They can navigate things where maybe something isn't okay with your baby. Maybe you had an NICU stay and that has been traumatizing, and it can be traumatizing. And it's okay to acknowledge that and, you know, sit with it for a moment and just let it be and accept it and move forward. And at some point, you will get out on the other side and you will feel, okay, I can handle this. And the other thing with postpartum that I think is so important is to not compare your journey to somebody else's. Look, I will raise my hand right now. I am completely guilty of this. I have fallen victim to, seeing other people bounce back, other twin moms bounce back on social media. And I have let that kind of eat away at me. And I have to stop myself and be like, you know what? I really can't compare myself to this person's journey. As much as I would love my case to be like your case, it's just not. It's just not the reality of what I'm facing. And I think that that's something that as an individual is a very important life lesson, whether you're postpartum or you're navigating a different challenge in your life, is that at the end of the day, you really can't compare your journey to somebody else's. And the second thing that I'll say with that is you also don't know what that person is going through. You don't know what kind of a facade that person has put forward, what kind of an image they have created, especially on social media, and what they are trying to portray to everybody else might not be exactly what they're facing behind the scenes. When you strip that away, they might also be suffering in silence. And that is something that is also very sad, to be suffering in silence. So, as we are at the end of the year, let us all face it. Face the hardships, face anything from 2025 that maybe came as a challenge, as a shock, something that was unplanned, and give yourself a pat on the back. Like I said earlier, acknowledge the fact that you are standing here on the other side, even if you're still in it, if you're still in the thick of it, it's okay. You are going to get through it. And we are literally all in it together. We all face the highs, the lows, and that's the beautiful thing of life, right? You can't appreciate the highs without having gone through the lows. And as we look forward to 2026, I'm not necessarily a resolution person. I like to focus on goals, so short and long-term goals of what I want to achieve. And that's why I think those 6 steps that I talked about earlier are pretty important, because you can write down any number of goals that you want to achieve. And at the same time, your priorities can change throughout the year. So as we start off 2026, maybe you have 4 goals that you want to achieve. Well, maybe within a couple of months, you decide, you know what, this really isn't for me. And that was actually something that Magda talked about in one of the episodes that I recently released, was that it is okay to pivot. And oftentimes when you invest the effort towards something, you shouldn't view it as wasted effort, because you could be building the platform for something even greater. And I love that message that she shared with everybody, because I think it is so true. There is a lesson to be learned in anything that you do. So try not to be hard on yourself, and don't pressure yourself to do everything all at once. I also think that, with a new year, with January, everyone, comes out with so much gusto to achieving this resolution, especially when it comes to weight loss, by the way. You see the gyms are flooded with people. Everybody's like, I'm going to get finally in shape. And then slowly, as the weeks pass, it trickles back to being the usual people in the gym. So don't be that person that falls victim to too much pressure. Just take baby steps and make a plan that you know you can stick with. And as you go, upgrade your routines with one small change at a time. So rather than saying that you're going to start off the new year with this insane, approach to weight loss, with food, with exercise, with, treatments, whatever you're going to do, for instance, don't try to say, I'm going to boil the ocean. And then when you're trying to do it all, it's just simply too much. Take it step by step, baby steps, one little bite at a time. And as you tick the box and check things off and accomplish things, then you can upgrade the routine. So let's say if you want to go to the gym 2 times a week, well, once you've done a month of that, then upgrade it. Go 3 times a week. You get the point. So all of that to say that just don't put too much pressure on yourself. And finally, when it comes to Supergene Unleashed, what I'm most excited about for 2026 is really focusing on bringing you more content to be your best self, and to empower you with more inspiring stories and information so you can unleash your supergene. Some exciting episodes that I have coming up are with a weight medicine doctor. That'll be actually the next episode that releases, and I'm really excited for you all to listen to that. Perfect timing with January. But I'm also exploring many other different topics within functional health, within time management, within being a woman in a predominantly male ecosystem when it comes to a career, and just navigating these different environments. But I want to encourage you, please connect with me. Please go to my website, supergeneunleashed.com. Send me a message. Let me know if there's something that you want to hear more of, any of your feedback. I would love to hear your feedback. And please, 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 to support the podcast, I would really appreciate if you can go to your favorite podcast platform and hit subscribe so that you don't miss any of the content that I will be releasing. So on that note, I want to close out today with just a short message of saying I am incredibly proud of us all for everything that you have done in 2025. And I am super excited for you in terms of what's in store for 2026. And I wish you all an amazing, healthy, and happy new year. And I look forward so much to connecting with you and keeping this community going. I really can't wait to see how things go in 2026. And thank you again so much for your support in Supergene Unleashed.